You know, I think I now know why Vladimir Putin is so crazy, or seems to be crazy, and seems to ignore the threat of all these sanctions, whether they ever materialize or not. There's money in doing what he's doing. And just annexing Crimea, for example, he could be looking at trillions, that is trillions, of various contracts and the like that he could score off very, very ample energy deposits and the like. And that's just that region. Add all of the Ukraine in, and of course you can add up as well as I. Then look at all of those old Soviet breakaway republics and what they might offer. And you can understand why he would ignore the sanctions, because the money he gains taking over these properties dwarfs them all. Back with our All-Stars, Garrett Kalpon, Rick Unger, Jessie Jane Duff. Jesse, is that his motivator? Is that what trumps all the extra dough he gets in the face of these sanctions?
Absolutely. He has tried to mislead us and say he's looking out for Russian nationals and wants to get his land back that they lost during the Soviet Empire. But, you know, the reality is he's done this right under our noses before. When we drew our red line for chemical weapons, what did he do? He said he'll take over. And he has a port in Syria that many people seem to forget. And he basically signed a deal in December for major oil drilling offshore with Syria. He's doing this right under our noses, and we don't even seem to notice. He doesn't care about people. He's very nefarious and knows exactly what he's up to.
But he's a hell of a hockey player. Scored 6 goals. And no one challenged him. Garrett Kalpon, what do you make of that? Not the hockey thing, just what he's up to.
36,000 square miles in the ocean of oil and potential oil and gas reserves. That's what's going on here. He can talk blue in the face of nation this, nation that, people this, people that. The Russian economy is no great shakes right now, and they are going after the bucks, and probably a smart move because he couldn't care less about any sanctions on him at this point.
Rick, you and I chatted about this before, but I think things change when oligarchs there start getting annoyed. And he's an oligarch, by the way. He's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
But if there's a real financial pinch to be had, or the market were to tumble as it had right when this war first started, and that were to have continued, then it would have prompted a change in behavior. But not when he's looking at making money hand over fist.
Yeah, I see it a little bit differently. I do think this is clearly a bonus. And a darn good one. And
by the way, this other gains from Grant he didn't see when he first took it.
That's right. You know, nobody ever said he was stupid. But I really think that this guy has a much more overriding view of things. I think he's much more about annexation. He's much more about restoring the old Soviet Union to the extent
whether
that
it's
he can.
of financial import or not.
Yeah.
So do you apply that to all the old breakaway republics?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I think, yes, if he had the chance, I do think he would go after them. Look, I think he's starting to feel the sanctions. I think you're going to see some different behavior there in the weeks that are coming. But I'm not going to discount that much oil. Of course it's of interest to him, but I don't think that's entirely what drives him.
You know, Jesse, you could make the argument that Rick is right insofar as just rebuilding old Soviet pride. The reason why he's so popular, and these aren't numbers, he's rigging, that they like feeling proud again.
Yeah.
That the old Soviet system seems to be coming back, and Russia looks great
in the world that way.
Absolutely, and I think that counts for something. What do you make?
No, he's not acquiring land he can't use. This is a strategic port and oil. You know, not only that, the U.S. is quite aware of it because Joe Biden went in there and said, you know, he was very upset a month ago that, you know, you're going into Crimea and I'm going to support the Ukrainian people and being energy dependent. Meanwhile, not even a month later, his son signs on, Hunter Biden signs on with a Ukrainian oil company as a board of directors. So we're already showing the influence of our own nation
we've gone past trying to get Crimea back, right? We've gone back to
I'm having trouble seeing that connection. I mean, he did. You're right.
We have interest in that oil. We have interest in that oil as well as he does.
Well, I do see your point this way, and I'll end on this particular subject on that guy, that the reason why our sanctions don't go even further is that we're worried about the boomerang effect on us, including our energy companies. It was ExxonMobil, I believe, that told the White House, look, we've got a multi-billion-dollar contract with Russia. Don't screw it up, right?
Yeah.
Garrett?
Look, worldwide, we have oil contracts all over the place. If we hurt Russia, we hurt ourselves. I think Putin's played the game of risk a few times here and realized what needs to be done. And I think this is purely tactical, and I don't think he cares less about much else except for the big bucks that is going to help his country. Absolutely. And if he wants to go after other countries, he will.
But look how this feeds into maybe what I'm talking about, which is this overarching desire to bring the Soviet Union back together. He's done more than just put this oil in his pocket. so that he expands his own nation's wealth. He's taken away from Ukraine the opportunity to become a key factor in the oil industry.
But this will move on way beyond Ukraine.
Yeah, but that's
short order.
Ukraine had that before Putin.
In the meantime, it looks like Apple and Google have agreed to let bygones be bygones, drop all patent litigation off against one another. I should stress, not all, but at least the material ones that have been dividing these companies for, gosh, close to 8 years now. Gary, is this both sides saying, look, we have more money to be made just coming up with neat new innovations in our own right than get tangled up in court time and again?
I think they saw the attorney bill, both of them, and said, what the heck are we doing? We are juggernauts. We are humongous companies with tons of cash and a great future. Let's put this aside. Let's figure common ground instead of the opposite.
Well,
and let's move on.
Samsung has not been as much of a juggernaut, despite sounding like a lot of phones. It's been bumping along the way here.
Look, Samsung is, the big issue with Samsung was there was a lot of money involved, and there was a big patent, bigger stuff than what we've seen with Google and Apple. So, but I just think this is something that is gone away for now, but if something big shows up again, somebody will be fighting.
I disagree. I really do. Take a look at the numbers. If there's anything to support Gary's argument, it's that they only got $300 million awarded to them against Google in this last lawsuit, and that was probably disappointing.
Because they were wasting time on silly stuff like the look and feel. You can't.
It's all one and the
legal
same.
Fees are such a drop in the bucket that this is not what it's about. And they got close to $1 billion out of Samsung. It's got to go through appeals. So there's something else happening here.
Jesse, what do you make of that?
Well, these are technology engines, and they know that they're wasting time in court. If they combine their efforts, but these consumers will end up profiting far more. They'll have more business generated. When you're stuck in court, you are not moving forward with your product because you can't even move forward on these patents.
It's not just money, it's time and effort.
It's not true.
What's not true?
The legal department is so completely separate from the development department.
No, but it's a distraction. I think she's saying it's a distraction.
But you can't. You've got patents that are held up. You're holding up these patents.
I think I know law better than you do.
I mean, I was at a company where we were always in a lawsuit.
That'll do it. I wish we had more time, but again, blessedly, we did not.